This week's word of the week is going to be flashburn. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not that big of a deal, 10 being a big deal. If you're in the welding world and you don't know what flashburn is, it's a 10. You need to know what flashburn is and especially how to avoid it, right? Flashburn is commonly called arc eye or welder's eye, and it's just a burn that happens in your eyes. It happens in your eyes from the light of the welding or the cutting process that you're doing. It is not a good time. Symptoms. The first one, pain, it hurts, right? Bloodshot, sensitivity to light. So if you're looking up at lights and your eyes hurt because of the light, watery eyes, blurred vision, sand. I wrote sand down because that's what everybody says. They say it feels like somebody took sand and threw it in your eyes, right? It feels like there's something in there, you want to itch it. So it's important to avoid getting flashburn here. You only have 2 eyes in a lifetime and you want to protect them. Most people in the welding field think of the most damage from, you know, being in the welding field is stuff flying around like grinding dust and, you know, having slag go in your eye, or, you know, hitting a chisel and having a mushroom fly off and take your eye out. But this is just as bad, if not worse, because your eye has a lot of moisture in it. So when you get flashburn, it causes bacteria to get into your eye. And when you have a warm, moist climate like your eye and bacteria in it, it's the recipe for disaster. So if you get flashburn and it's bad, you need to go to the doctor. There's all these fixes right here we'll talk about in a second, but the main thing is you need to go to the doctor if you get flashburn. You don't want to risk it and then end up losing eyesight in one of your eyes or both your eyes or whatever here. So let's talk about talk about the causes before we go to the fixes here. Causes: low shade. So your lenses on your helmet have shade numbers on them. Now if you're doing 180 amps of stick welding and you got it on shade 5, you're going to get flashburn, right? And we're going to show you the correct shade numbers for what you're doing here at the very end here. But low shades for what you're doing, you can get this. No shades, if you're just walking around and people are welding around you and you're seeing welding arcs, you're looking at the welding arcs, you're definitely going to get flashburn, and it's not good. So no shade, reflections. One time I got flashburn, and I was working at a company that was making the aluminum gas tanks for like semi trucks, and they come in a skin, and they had the skins all over the place, and it was shined aluminum. So I was welding on these things, and there's people behind me welding on them, and it was reflecting off the skins, and I got flashburn really bad. It was like the worst one I've ever gotten. So you gotta watch reflections. It doesn't have to be right at the welding arc. If there's something shiny over here, somebody's welding over there, it reflects off, you're getting it, believe it or not. So that was like one of the worst ones I've ever gotten. So reflections is a big deal. I wrote down ignorance. I guess ignorance, you see people on TV all the time. They're tacking, right? They're looking away. When you're doing that, you do not have the proper shade. I know people think they're looking tough or whatever, looking cool, but you're burning your eyes is what you're doing. So I just threw the ignorance factor in there. If you're tacking stuff up for somebody, you know, you're holding something here, don't look away. Just put the helmet down so you're not going to get flashburn, you know. Just put the helmet down, you know. Sudden strikes is a big one. That's probably one of the most common. You know, you're walking by somebody and all of a sudden they strike an arc and you don't see it in time, and then you got a, you know, a flash. You get flashed. So that's those sudden strikes. So when you're walking around in a weld lab, kind of keep your head on a swivel. You know, if you see somebody all of a sudden go like this and their hood goes down, you know, look away because they're going to strike an arc. So sudden strikes is probably the most common. Fixes. Now, these are common remedies that people do when they get arc eye to try and make it feel better. They cut potatoes and put them on their eyes, milk, tea bags, cucumbers, Vicks Vapor Rub, ice packs. These are all bogus, right? So we're going to cross them right off. They might alleviate a little bit of pain. The only thing that's going to fix arc eye, or the proper term flashburn, is time. Right here. It's got to heal. It just takes time. These things are all, maybe the Mythbusters should give themselves flashburn and see if they actually work. But these are all things that I've heard of. Anytime I've ever had problems with this, you just got to wait it out. Avoid bright lights, you know, and just wait it out. If it's bad, like I said, you got to go to the doctor. You don't want to just end up having bacteria forming in your eye and then lose your eyesight. So that stuff's all, I don't know if it works or not, but I can tell you the one thing that's going to fix it is time and going to a doctor. I'm going to write down doctor too. So doctor. The doctor's not going to be able to fix it. They're just going to be able to look at your eye and see how bad the damage is, maybe give you some treatments, right? So we're going to go up here. So okay, we talked about symptoms, fixes, causes. Now let's go ahead and look at the shade numbers, because this is an important thing, right? Are you using the proper shades for what you're doing? Whether it be cutting or whether it be welding, right? Now, on the chart I found from Lincoln Electric out of Cleveland, Ohio. They make welding helmets, and they're the people that would know, the proper shade numbers. So they didn't have oxy-fuel on there though, which is a major cutting process, right? So I looked up that on a number of websites, and they all said shade 4 or 5. What I've always used is shade 5, so I always say shade 5. I always go with the upper number just because I want to be safe. I don't want to lose my eyes or my eyesight. So oxy-fuel 4 or 5, I'd go with 5. Welding, see chart. So I've got a chart I'm going to pull up, and we're going to look at it right now. One last thing. The main thing that depends on the shade is your amperage right here. So let's circle amperage. The higher the amperage, the higher the heat, the higher the light. So as amperage goes up, your shade goes up. So let's go ahead and pull this chart up and take a look at it, and so we can see the different shades for welding. I think plasma's on there too, plasma cutting. So we'll look up for welding and plasma cutting on this chart. Alright, here's a chart, and I was looking for Lincoln, but the Lincoln was in red and black, and you couldn't really see it. It was kind of blurry. This is from Miller now, and it's still a little bit blurry, but it's better than what we had before. But this is the chart to select the correct shade of lens for the process you're doing. You can see over here, stick, MIG, aluminum MIG, flux core TIG, and then up here it's got an amperage range. And that's what's giving you the correct shade of lens for what you're doing, because you don't want to get flash burn. Right here in the middle, this is 200 amps, so you can kind of cut that off. This is kind of strange, right? You're usually not welding over 200. Over here, 60, you're usually not going too much below 60. So right here in the middle is going to be your most common shades you're using, and they're usually 10s, 11s, maybe a 12. But you can look at that chart, figure out what amperage you're using, if you can see it. I know it's kind of blurry, but that'll give you the correct lens so you won't get flash burn. So hopefully that describes what flash burn is, how not to get it. Thanks for watching, subscribing to TV Weld. We're getting out of here. Sorry about the blurriness.